So, welcome to our Telraam Talks Hangout on the 18th of October 2023. As I was explaining to the participants here, unfortunately, Chris isn't able to join us tonight. He's not feeling 100%, so he's going to have to watch this on catch-up. So we'll record it for him, and then he can give me pointers when he gets a chance. What I thought we could do, again, if you want to ask questions, feel free to ask them. But if you want to sort of save them up for the end as well, that's also good. But if you don't want to forget them, just pop them in the chat and we'll be able to go through them at the end. I thought I'd very quickly go through for those of us who are either new to the Telraam or maybe who've been around for a while, like Kjeld, that there are some changes to the website, which hopefully will give you lots of new information for taking on board for your own projects or for sharing that elsewhere. And an actual live version of one of the new data reports for a device with a data subscription. I think last time I gave you a sort of quick demo of it from our back end, but not live. So this is an actual device, so we can actually go through it and look into it in more details, and then obviously ask your answer questions at the end. I won't spend ages on this, but I just wanted to let everybody know that quite a lot of work has been going on behind the scenes to update the website. The key is that the last big change was to introduce the S2, so the focus was on the device. But whilst the device was actually capturing lots of data, that wasn't immediately available to everyone who had the S2. The S2 gets a lot of information about 10 different modes and 15 minutes. It catches it whether you can see it or not. But to access that, you do need a data subscription, either for the device or via being part of a network. Now, those pages were not live for the public, so we're working on behind the scenes, but they all went live last week. So the site was updated to explain what was included in them, so people could so you can better understand what you get as part of that additional subscription. So just to be clear, we're still selling the same devices, the S2. You can potentially have that device and just get the basic data. But if you want to get the full data from the S2, you'll need a data subscription, which you can then keep going for as long as you need. And if you're running multiple devices, you can then also have a network subscription, which is all the facilities of the data subscription for you and the users in that network. So we wanted to make sure that was clear. So hopefully, if you go to the website now, I won't take you through it, but you'll see we've updated the description of what is Telraam, and we've separated out the device, the data, and the network aspects, and updated the shop a little bit as well. So hopefully, if you yourself are wondering what you get with what you've got or what you're planning to get, there should be a lot more detail there. And in fact, the data page has some live data. It's quite cool from devices actually running in the office. I think that's all I'll say about it now, unless anyone has any particular questions. It's not groundbreaking. We haven't changed anything dramatic, but hopefully it's a lot clearer than it has been. The next thing is probably the more exciting bit, is what does that data subscriber get? What does that report look like? So we've said it a lot, but once you have a subscription, you can dive in through our reports, through the dashboard, into a lot more details. You get different kinds of reports than were available before, with a lot more insight, I think, a lot more at-a-glance stuff. The 15-minute breakdown is particularly useful if you're looking particularly at things like rat runs, when does the traffic happen, school streets, when there are pedestrians using these streets, etc. It also can divide it up into the 10 modes. I've been trialing it a little bit on Telraam Talks, as you can see, with showing people their data splitting between bikes and motorbikes, and everyone's been pretty well spot on with their perception and the data, whether it was some people saying it's 99% bicycles, and almost always was, or in my case, roughly 50-50 on the South Circular, surprisingly. Well, little scooters, not anything serious, motorbikes. And we also have some new trend reports. So I'll go through them now. The one thing I'll say in advance is all of these bits of data will also have their exclusive API endpoints, which will be available to subscribers who want to connect via the API. That isn't yet live. That will be coming soon. I won't demo that because I'm not competent. They don't let me drive API. I don't have an API license, but I do. I can show you the other data because that's what I can do. So let's have a quick look. The other thing to point out is that all of this that I'm going to say is available to a user with a subscription that either comes directly because they've bought that or because they're part of a network. And the network owners will then be able to go in via their dashboard, the reports tab, to see all these reports for each of the devices in their network. So first thing first, let's try this one. We have here an example of a new button on all public dashboards for devices with data subscriptions. This is what you would currently see, is the traditional breakdown of modes and daily overview. But you'll all see there's now a tab at the top that says live. And that gives the 15-minute breakdowns for that particular device for the last 24 hours. So a bit more granular, but only for 24 hours. And the same thing for the speed. So this is a busy street here in Southeast London. And actually, interestingly enough, in the last 24 hours, we can see here the V85 speed. All these graphs have, in a dotted line here, the predicted, what we call typical traffic for that particular 15 minutes. That's calculated for you, and the standard deviation expected on that. So we actually have had quite a lot fewer cars this last 24 hours than we might typically have expected. Maybe somebody will know why. It is a very horrible rainy day here in London with storms everywhere, so maybe everyone's just staying home. I don't blame them. Now, if I was the owner of this device, I would also be able to go to my own dashboard, and within the reports, let's see, it's down here. So within the reports, I would be able to see this button. It says dig deeper into your data. So you have the previous reports, but now also these 4 new tabs. So we got the sort of updated version of the current one, which shows you the hour breakdown for rows. This is the direction one. I should point out actually one here because not every. Well, I pointed this out to a few people. Not everybody knew it. Where you see a key like this with the colors, if you actually click on a particular color, it will remove it or add it back to the graph. So if you wanted to focus in on, let's say, just the active travel modes for this device, you can actually get rid of the cars and heavy motorbikes and see the travel. And here you see a very good example of how there's a very specific hour of the day, which is at 8 o'clock in the morning, where it gets a lot of pedestrian traffic. That must be near a school, I imagine, going into school. So you can just see exactly, just using that, suddenly peaks that pop out when you're doing your visual analysis. There we are. So that's down below. That's showing the actual graphs. We do the breakdown into the 4 main modes for you. Again, you see in the background there, you've got your typical traffic and your standard deviations. These peaks are gone beyond that massively. It's great to see. We do that for all the modes, the 2-wheelers, cars, and heavy vehicles. As you can see, quite a lot of activity on that road. So this is just an enhancement maybe of what was there before. Some of the new things are this trends report has been quite interesting to use. We give you a heat map. We calculate the expected trend on a weekly basis based on the monthly average, and that changes over time. So what does the trend look like of trends? That's what our heat map will show, which is for each of the weeks, we've got the peaks of activity across the hours of the day. And you'll see that 8 a.m. peak has been getting much stronger since August. So obviously it has a school component. Since school started, it's been much higher. If you prefer to do it in this format, you can actually do it. You can actually see it here in sort of dots instead, you'll see you've got different weeks of the year. This has been running, so it's been running since the 8th of August, or at least been trend since the 8th of August, and we can actually see how those have changed. So you can look at specific ones. So let's say there's been an intervention, you can actually look at these and show the differences pre and post some sort of activity. Again, you've got that for each, you can see this, but you've got that for each of the main modes, and you can update and see them all differently. That has been, I think, very interesting for a lot of people who've seen that. Then 15 minutes, we've been promising this. Obviously, it's more granular. We can only show so much on a screen, so we default to just 3 days here, but we can analyze how that peak is split out over the hour. We can see that, again, for each of the modes. That could be particularly useful if you're looking at very granular traffic, and also speeds. And finally, probably the one that people have most fun with, which is seeing all your different modes. So this is that graph that we are used to, but now showing not just the 4 main modes, but all the different modes. So you can look at them in detail. Again, you can remember you can take out modes or add them in if you want to for your analysis. The same thing on the hourly basis. You've got your speeds, your V85 like before, and that modal split graph, which I've been using, showing people on Telraam Talks with calculations over the period of the split of that traffic. So in this case, 77.83% cars. Not unexpected since it's a major road, but you can also have the breakdown of the different kinds of heavy vehicles, lots of vans, fair number of buses, and we can do that analysis of bikes versus motorbikes. Again, it's actually very similar to my road. Yeah, more like 2/3, 1/3. You can look at the numbers and calculate that out. But yeah, so all this is available to you as a user of an S2. Over time, obviously, you need to capture the data. Now, all this can be exported in the traditional way to raw data. And the street sheets are now available to you. A street sheet is an export with an Excel spreadsheet with lots of these reports built into it and the raw data. So you can actually export it into Excel and manage it and play with it and report it as you want. Normally, previously it was only available to the network owners, but now it's available to everyone with a data subscription. And so, as I said, if you're now the network owner, you can click on your reports tab, and as well as the previous analyses, you will now have a link to all the devices that are currently live in your network and be able to log in and see their full reports. So you have a lot more insight into them. So that's the new reports. As you can see, all live. Hopefully, it will have lots of people doing investigations and telling us what extra things they would like to see in there, and telling us all the things they've discovered. That'd be great. And yeah, hopefully that was useful. If you have any questions on that or would like, well, let's start with that. Have you got any questions on those reports particularly? I have forgot to check the chat, but I haven't. Great. So what I'll do is I will finish the presentation and stop sharing here, and I will end the recording aspect, and then we can chat.